This video is going to take us through how to write an equation in what is called standard form. So we've been looking at equations in slope-intercept form up until this point. And if you remember, that's where your equation started with y equals. And specifically it said y equals mx plus b. So we've been looking at that. So what we're going to do now is start looking at a different form called standard form. So a couple things about it. The way it's going to look will look just like this. It'll say ax plus by equals c. Now that looks crazy with all of the letters, but the only thing you need to know is that a will be a number, b will be a number, and c will be a number. The only variables that will be in your equation are the x and the y. So here are just some examples really quick. Okay, 83x plus 2y equals 6. So you have a number in front of the x, you have a number in front of the y, and then you have your equals the 6, the other number. Notice whatever is with your x and your y are on the same side as the equal sign. Okay. Another example, 4x plus 5y equals 10. There could also be subtraction, so you could have 2x minus 3y equals 14, or 10x minus 3y equals 14. So all of those are examples of equations that are in standard form. Okay, now I have a list of some tips and tricks that you can follow whenever you're writing an equation in standard form. So you may want to write these down, make note of these. Okay, first of all, I like to use variables that make sense to the problem. Okay, so I won't necessarily always use x and y. If we're talking about, I don't know, apples and peaches, I'll use an A for apples and I'll use a P for peaches. I like to use whatever variables make sense. It just, I don't know, for me it helps make it make more sense in my head. If you like to use x and y, by all means use x and y. That's up to you. Okay? And then another tip, your total will always come after the equal sign. So a lot of times you're talking about the price of something or the cost of something with these. So that total cost or that total price is going to be the letter, or I'm sorry, going to be the number that is in this C position that comes after the equal sign. So just keep those in mind kind of as we go through. As we do these examples, I'm not going to use x and y. I'm going to use letters that are variables that make more sense with the problem. Okay, so let's look at the first problem we have. All we're doing is writing the equation for this. Okay, so you have $15 to spend at a farmer's market. If peaches cost $2 per pound and apples cost $1.50 per pound, write an equation in standard form, sorry, that should say form, to represent this scenario. So first of all, remember what standard form looks like is you have ax plus by equals c. A, b, and c are all numbers. Okay, now I want you to think what number is going to go in this c position. Okay, what number do you think? Remember, I told you that's going to be your total. So our total here is you had the $15 to spend at the farmer's market. So that's your total. Okay? Now here's how you set up this other part. We have two different sections. We have peaches and then we have apples. They can be in any order. Doesn't matter. But what you do know is that you'll have to add the price of them together to get your total cost, right? That just makes sense. So I know I'm going to add them together. That's why I don't subtract. Okay, and peaches are $2 per pound, so $2 per pound of peaches, so 2p. Okay, this p would represent, and I'll add this in over here, p represents the number of pounds of peaches. Okay. And then the other part was the apples. The apples are $1.50 per pound, so that's going to be $1.50 A. Okay, so A, excuse me, is going to represent the number of pounds of apples. Okay, so you always want to keep track of what your variables are going to stand for. Okay, and then that is simply it. Here's our equation in standard form. 2p plus $1.50a equals 15. We have it set up, and that's as far as we're taking this right now. Okay, so let's look at another example. Okay, you exercised a total of 32 miles. Total of 32 miles. You should take note of that right away. If you biked at a speed of 16 miles per hour and walked at a speed of 2 miles per hour, write an equation to represent this. So again, our scenario, or our standard form here, sorry. Our total of 32 miles, where is that going to go in our equation? That's going to be our C right over here at the end. That's what it equals. That's our total. Okay. Now, two types of exercise here. You are biking and you are walking. So I'm going to use B for bike and W for walk. Okay. Now, what number goes with what? Well, biking was at a speed of 16 miles per hour. So 16B. And then you were walking at a speed of 2 miles an hour. So 2W. There you go. And you're done. Okay. And then let's look at one more. All right, you sold a total of $16 worth of tickets to a school concert. So right there, total of $16. You lost track of how many of each type of ticket you sold. Adult tickets were $4 each, and student tickets were $2 each. Write an equation for this. So again, in standard form, this is what it needs to look like.
Please come to the attendance office.
Okay, so I know my total is going to be 16, so I'll tack that on at the end. Okay, the order of the other ones doesn't really matter. So adult tickets were $4. Since we're talking about adult, I'm going to use an A. And since they were $4, we take 4 times A. So A is the number of adult tickets. So if you sold 10 adult tickets, that cost would be $40, way over our amount. Okay, but that's how it would be figured. Then the other part was the student tickets. So student tickets, I'm going to use an S for student. Be careful when you make your S not to make it look like a 5. It's very easy to do. They were $2 each, so 2S. So 4A plus 2S equals 16. S is the number of student tickets. Okay, so standard form, writing it in that form is actually very easy. You just have to remember what it looks like and where to put your numbers. So keep in mind this form as you are going through this process.